Well, I was born in the state of New Jersey in the United States here in 1937. When I was born, the United States was openly segregated. Black people were not able to live here, to go to school here, to eat here, or to drink out of this water fountain and those kinds of things. And what started me into prize fighting is that the first 18 years of my life, I couldn't talk. I suffered from a terrible speech impediment. I couldn't say two clear words that made any sense to anyone but myself. And when people talked, and when people laughed at me when I tried to talk, well, I would fire them. I would attack them. And if you attack people when they laugh at you, then you sure better know how to fight, or you're gonna get your butt whooped, you know? So that's what got me into prize fighting. And then when I was 17 years old, I joined the military. Being an amateur prize fighting, in Europe, I became the European light welterweight champ 2 years in a row and qualified for the 1956 Olympics. But I was being discharged and I wouldn't re-enlist in order to do that. And so I got out of the service. And shortly after that, I became a professional and started fighting.
I watched you fight from 1960 to 1964 every Friday night, and I said, "Now they think they use names like the real deal now, you know, but I tell you, you had to see Reuben Hurricane Carter fight to understand what prize fighting was really all about."
Things have taken a surprising turn in this middleweight fight tonight.
We thought and believed at that moment that you were one of the best fighters to ever come along, that you were destined to be champion, you know, and destined to be champion for a long time. And then, you know, the next time we really hear about Reuben Hurricane Carter, he has been arrested and charged with murder, triple homicide. Some bar situation. Come on, tell us. We remember the movie, but tell us what happened.
Well, it happened. You have to look at the context of the time, Bishop. That black folks in this country were fighting not to be segregated anymore, fighting to eat in restaurants, to drink out of water fountains, to ride on the front of the bus, and all of those things were going on at the time. And you have to realize that Malcolm X was very prominent at the time. Martin Luther King was very prominent at the time. And there were those of us who talked about self-defense, that we must defend ourselves against anyone who was going to injure us. And it just happened to be at that time that it was the police department that was doing all the injuring. And so I said that we should defend ourselves against the police as well.
And you said that in New Jersey?
Oh, I said that in New Jersey. I said that in the newspapers. I said it everywhere. So that was the image that people were receiving every Friday night when they see me coming in there with these black robes on and bald-headed and not smiling. And so that frightened the authorities to be, because they were getting rid of all of us who was willing to defend ourselves against them. And so they murdered Malcolm, they murdered Martin. And those that they didn't murder in the streets, they put us in jail. So when I was accused of being a triple racist murderer, I knew that I was innocent. I knew that I committed no crime, that I should not be in prison. And so I refused to act like I was guilty. I refused to obey the prison rules. I refused to wear their clothing. I refused to wear the stripes of a guilty person. I refused to eat their food. I refused to work their jobs. I refused to even talk to a guard. So I spent 10 of my 20 years in prison in solitary confinement, 6 feet under the ground, in total darkness, no sanitary conditions, no running water, no lights. Silence was the rule.
How many years did you do
I spent off and on 10 of my 20 years in solitary confinement. But that was the best thing, Bishop, that ever happened to me in my life. Because at that point, I was able to find myself. I turned that prison into an unnatural laboratory of the human spirit. And I was able to find myself. I was able to find my spirit. You know, only you know this better than I do. Only in moments of greatest challenge, and even in moments of agony and despair, will the Spirit demonstrate its greatness to you. Only when you need it. And I needed it at that time. And that's what I'm doing here. That's why I'm sitting here with you today. It's absolutely miraculous.